Hi, I'm Nick, and I like comics.
And I'm Adam, and I know comics.
Welcome to another episode of Adam and Nick Spoil Some Comics, where we spoil some comics. Today, we are talking about Batman and Robin Eternal, number 14. This issue was written by James Tynion IV, with Fernando Blanco and Roger Robinson on the art.
The issue starts off in the Uranek chemical plant in Prague several years ago. The Batmobile is screaming down the street, and Robin's like, should we be slowing down? No. Sweet.
Batman is in, true Batman form in this issue, which we'll talk about.
Definitely. So they bust in. There's a bunch of guys who look like AIM agents from Marvel.
That's what I was going to say.
Sorry, I stole your line.
Yeah, you took it from me. I really like the front of the Batmobile here. It's very reminiscent of, the 60s or, something like that, where it was the Batmobile that actually had, this Batman head on the front of it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So they start a fight with these guys in the smoke that the Batmobile created. And Robin's saying how he doesn't get it. Like, Scarecrow's been laying low for weeks. Why has he moved up now? And Batman's telling him, don't undersell your detective work. You've done a good job. He's being more reassuring here. And Robin's just questioning, I think he's led us here. I think he wants us to be here for one reason or another.
Right.
And then Scarecrow taps into Batman's comms and starts talking to him, saying, there's a bomb at the top of the building, and I want to talk to you. If you don't come talk to me, people will die. And so I want you to let Robin dismantle the bomb. I know he can do it.
Right. So Robin is in the background fighting all of these AIM agent-looking guys, kicking the snot out of them as Batman is having this conversation with Scarecrow. And then ultimately Batman decides, okay, I'm going to go talk to Scarecrow. And he lies to Robin, doesn't tell him what he's doing, and he sends Robin up to dismantle the bomb, reassuring him, you can handle this. You can do this. I trust you.
Robin calls him on it, too, and says, I feel like you're not telling me something. And Batman says, it's in your head. So back in the now, at the nursery, they're realizing there might be a nuclear bomb about to go off and kill all of them. And they get into a fight again with David Kane. And he's like, wow, why would she betray me? Why would Mother betray me, Grayson? I'm loyal to her. And he's like, dude, we're going to die. You need to help us out of this situation.
He doesn't think that what the mother's saying is actually true. And so, it's a test. So he pulls out his sword and gets ready to, start stabbing them and stuff. And both Cassandra, Harper, and Dick are like, dude, there's a bomb. We're going to die. Don't fight us.
Right. For as Harper says, for the love of God, Mother is trying to blow you up. Stop fighting. No, it's a test. It's always a test.
Always a test.
Are you crazy? So David Kane attacks Harper Row, and Dick Grayson jumps in the middle of it, and robots appear everywhere.
Right, and they are set on destroying, killing, and they actually shoot lasers out of them to try and kill Harper, I guess, and Cassandra pushes her out of the way. And then I find this very interesting little interchange between Harper and Cassandra, where Harper says, talking about destroying the nuclear bomb, and she says, and hopefully some kind of big red cancel nuke button, that they can find one. And Cassandra makes this really weird face. And we're not sure, what's going on there, what's the purpose of that. Also, what's really interesting, Cassandra has just pushed Harper out of the way of robots that were shooting lasers at them. But then they have a few seconds to have a nice little sentimental conversation, at least that's how Cassandra looks.
Yeah. She's got her arms crossed.
Right, and the robots are not shooting at them. They're not even running away, they're just standing there. But then we can see in the next panel, as they're running out of the room, then the robots start shooting lasers at them, and they're running away scared, trying to now disable the nuclear bomb and shut the robots down.
So Dick Grayson grabs David Kane's sword and starts attacking him. They get in a fight. David Kane's telling him how delusional you are. Dude, Batman's been lying to you your whole life. Mother's never lied to me. She's always been honest with me, and that's why I fight for her still. And he says, I was there all those years ago. I watched you. He let you believe that you were running the mission, that time that you helped him find Scarecrow. When he was simply biding time, he had you hunting Scarecrow when the truth was something darker. Crane wasn't your enemy. He was your ally. So he flashed back where Batman has confronted Scarecrow and met him where he's requested, with Robin off going to disarm that bomb. And Scarecrow's professing that he thinks that Mother's crazy. She's insanely dangerous. Mostly because for him, he thinks that humans should have their human experience. They should be allowed to both be happy and have fear. That's part of his whole research, and what he loves to do is push those boundaries. But what the Mother is trying to get from him is this version of his toxin that basically destroys them to the point that nothing matters anymore. They're just hollowed out, empty husks.
Crane actually says, I'm a Dr. Batman. I'm trying to help people understand the power of fear. They'll label me as a villain, but my work will shape generations of psychiatric work It's already started. The GCPD brought in that odd little man, Hugo Strange, to study the effects of the toxin on my victims. 50 years from now, there will be entire fields of study based on my research. So Crane is obviously a little delusional, I think, in what he is doing, what he is trying to prepare. And he pulls up this picture of a brain and kind of showing Batman, his process and all this stuff. And he says, I don't want to work for the mother anymore. I don't want to be a part of this. So basically, I want you to take me out so that it looks like you caught me, and then send me to Arkham, and then I will be free of her trap on me. And Batman's response, in Batman-esque, is no.
So Scarecrow says, okay, let's play it that way. And he brings up a hologram of Robin attempting to dismantle this bomb. Says, your little partner is sitting on a vat of toxins so powerful that an undiluted puff of gas would leave him comatose for the rest of his life, unless you do what I say. To which Batman replies, no, he isn't. I've known for weeks where you've been. I disabled the bomb this morning. Before tea.
Right. Before my tea in Prague. Did they drink tea in Prague?
I assume so, because it's not America.
Right.
Drink coffee.
So then what Batman does is he grabs Scarecrow and he starts talking to him, and
By talking, you mean holding him over the vat of acid.
right, holding him over this vat of acid, and he was like, I've been biding my time until I know that you could be of use to me. And then he throws him on the ground and he says, you work for me now. Which is pretty kind of scary.
And awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Back in the present, we see that Cassandra Cain has taken down a seriously large amount of robots, and that the time is coming to a close on how much time they have left alive before this nuke goes off. So Srack, bonk, wham later, it's back to Bluebird trying to figure out a way to hack into this bomb, I guess.
And she is having lots of trouble with it. She says, I'm losing it over here. After my mom, after everything, I never thought what would be like for him to lose me. Talking about her brother. And tears are flowing down her face, and she's just very upset. And she's like, we're going to die here. Like, I cannot stop this bomb. We are going to die. So then Cassandra walks over to Harper and puts her hand on her shoulder, puts her hand on her face, and comforts her. She lets her know that everything's going to be okay. And then Harper says, I'm really glad that I got to know you, Cassandra. And then all of these robots show up saying, destroy, destroy. And Harper says,
well, if we're going to go down today, let's kick some robot ass while we're at it.
Yeah, and then it shows them like starting beating up and fighting and dismantling these robots. And then all of a sudden, all of the robots just go clunk and fall to the ground.
Harper's pretty sure it wasn't them because they weren't doing that well. And then we've seen poor Dick Grayson, bloody, beaten, and panting, saying, they think they understand why we fight. I think it's some kind of blind devotion to Batman that they can shatter what he meant to us by showing that he wasn't perfect. But of course he wasn't. He's human. That was both his strength and his weakness. Anyway, how you girls holding up? Let's get out of here before we all die.
Right.
And kaboom.
We see the last panel is a huge nuclear explosion going off with their plane flying out. And Harper asks Dick, where are we headed? And he says, England, Spiral HQ. It's time to get to the bottom of this. No more secrets. As he's looking at Cassandra when he says that. One thing is we just went through this, and I'm looking at that last panel, and Dick says, we're going to Spiral headquarters in England. It's finally time we get to the bottom of this. And I'm sitting here thinking, why didn't you go there to begin with?
Right.
I mean, I didn't see any prompting in there that mentioned Spiral and mentioned, that they might know some stuff or, what's going on there. So that seemed kind of odd to me that he would just say,
yeah,
the answers are at Spiral.
It's like you've been working for Spiral anyway. Why don't you just go ask your bosses?
Yeah, exactly. But outside of that, I really enjoyed, like I said, Bruce Wayne Batman in this issue.
Yes.
Stereotypical. Whenever you think of Batman, this was the Batman. Just gruff and to the point and blunt and his detective. I disabled that bomb this morning when I was eating my breakfast. Just that kind of stuff being Batman. I really, really enjoyed that. So overall, with this issue, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 Batman symbols. Room for improvement. This is probably on James Tinian's scale. This is probably at the bottom of the 4 issues that he's written. But still, overall, I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see what they find out at Spiral. I'm also excited to see Jason and Tim again.
Yeah, I think since the next one is titled Saint Dumas, we should see them again.
I hope so.
So I think, as you were saying, the story for this was pretty good. It's led us to the next step anyway. But I have a lot of questions with the art. I wasn't a big fan of it. A lot of the gestures and stuff, I had no idea what's going on. Pretty early on, there's that fight scene with Batman and Robin as they're fighting those AIM agents or whatever, and Batman looks like he's doing some sort of dance maneuvers. He's like holding one guy back and his foot's kicked up, and
he's elbowing another guy in the face.
It doesn't have the right amount of momentum that like throwing a punch would, or even like if you're dodging. I don't know. It just didn't have the right feel to it. And then there's like the colorist's choice for the nose ring on Harper. I mean, it's green, which means it looks like boogers. And so in that scene where she's crying, she's got the tears running down her cheeks, and then she's got the green nose. It just looks like it's boogers and tears, just like streaming out of her face.
It's supposed to be this emotional scene, and you really
like every panel. I just saw boogers.
Right,
boogers.
You get lost in that.
Yeah, it's very distracting. So I mean I know there's a couple different artists, so I don't know who did what or how they contributed or how they collaborated, but I just was so very little impressed by that. I mean, it's very distracting. I mean, there's a whole variety of artists in comics, good and bad, and everywhere in between. And a lot of times, the writing will still show through fine, and the way the layout works is still fine. But this one was distracting enough that it really brought it down for me. I think that because of that, I have to give it a solid 2. It just wasn't impressive enough art. It really just took away from the story.
So we give this issue a 5.5 out of 10.
So what did you think of this issue? Did you like it? Did you hate the art as much as I did, or even worse? Just let us know in the comments below. Give a like to the video, and please subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Also, I want to give a shout out to a couple of podcasts. We like to promote nerd culture wherever we can, and a couple that we really enjoy. One is the Gotham Central podcast. Adam and I were actually guests on it one time, so if you want to go back and check that out, the link will be in the description below. Also, there was one called the Comic Noob podcast, which there's a link down below to that as well. And what they do is they try to introduce Marvel Comics to fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if you like the movies and you're kind of whatever about the comics, check those guys out because they talk about that and give you some good information. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you next time.